When it comes to the massive world of One Piece, there's two questions fans ask. Is the One Piece real? And could this universe survive an infection AU? That second question is what TikToker Watsugo-chan decided to find out, making a fully fleshed out and animated One Piece infection AU. Our first video is titled, I'm Hungry. The video begins with Luffy sleeping, where the camera shifts to Usopp, all covered in warts.
Oh no, silly. Haha. I'm just hungry. Just a little bit.
Usopp creepily watches over Luffy, mentioning how he's hungry. As the camera zooms out, we see Usopp in a spider-like state. You can just see the look of insatiable hunger on his face. Just in the nick of time, Nami pops into the scene and sprays water onto Usopp.
How many times have I told you not to break down the door of your room? Have you forgotten that you can hurt all of us here?
Idiot, you'd think I couldn't just come and spend the night here.
The video ends. To follow up, we get a couple character statuses. Our first status is Monkey D. Luffy himself. His health and reasoning stats are fine, but his hunger is down a little bit. We also notice that he's covered in blood. It is not infected, and zombies do not touch it, and if they do, it kills them instantly. He doesn't take the epidemic seriously, no matter how much they explain it to him, but he does show empathy for his infected friends. Now we see Zoro all covered in blood and warts. His health is more than halfway down, and his reasoning and health stats are down by a little bit. In Usopp Village, he was bitten by the black cat Siam, causing the infection to spread, forming orange blobs of plague. He tries to stay away from the team, so as not to infect them, but Nami and Sanji try to cure him by all means. In general, he thinks sensibly, but it is difficult to fight now, which is why battles end in defeat. Uninfected, seriously prepared, having stolen a special suit from Logatown, which protects more like the plague. She wears a respirator, places the doctor on ship and household items on the ship, good at fighting the infected, but weakens from fatigue. For Chopper, it says, sacrificed myself for the team when the guys had no food, in the middle of the way to Alabasta. Neither Sanji nor Zoro foraged for food, due to the fact that half the animals were infected and dangerous to eat, and fruit was not an option. Status, deceased. He is not infected, but his sanity is almost zero. He is tired, quieter, and more nervous due to the incident with Chopper, but still continues to cook with Nami's help. The last words he says are, I didn't want to do that. I really didn't want to. I'm sorry, Chopper. Sorry, guys. Repeating over and over again. Our last status is Usopp. He was infected even before he was drafted into the team. He lied that he was fine, but at that moment, he was in stage 1 infection. He got the infection from the air that was permeated with the plague, and the air in the Syrup Village was more permeated with the plague. At the moment, miraculously, he is still among the crew, but locked up in the cabin. It is extremely dangerous if you start raising your voice or using force on him. Moving on to the next video, which is titled Dinner in Abbreviations, we start to see flashbacks that led him to this state. The first one is of Chopper offering to help. Next, there's a scene with Zoro getting aggressive with Sanji, another with Nami comforting Usopp, and then we get the last one with Chopper sacrificing himself so that the crew doesn't starve. Luffy appears disgusted in the act he's about to do, with him crying over a plate of Chopper's remains. Distorted music plays as Luffy cries and Sanji starts losing his sanity as he's holding a censored plate of Chopper. To continue forward, we get a couple more status reports. Nefertari Vivi. She is infected with the first and weakest stage of the plague, from which there is still time to be cured. Her eye is inflamed, and she covers it with a bandage, and with a second glance, she sees poorly. Her right arm was infected, covered in clots, and was amputated. Karu and Igaram, forgive me if I said that wrong, were killed. Because of this, she was sad for a long time and did not want to discuss it with the guys. Kobe and Helmeppo. They came together when Orangetown was hit by a sudden outbreak of the plague through the air. Kobe, at Helmeppo's request, stayed closer, trying to escape the village, but soon, due to the rapid progression of the plague, they stuck to each other, and soon became overgrown with blobs of infection. At the moment, their whereabouts are unknown. Alvida. Zombies won't bite her because of the devil fruit, as her skin is very slippery. She also wears a respirator so as to not get infected by airborne droplets. At the moment, she is still looking for One Piece, along with Buggy the Clown, and she also managed to marry Buggy. Lamau, Buggy the Clown. He is not infected, treats this whole situation with a joke and with fun, knowing that the virus will not overtake him. He stole Marineford's firearms, so on occasions, he shoots the infected. He is married to Alvida, Mary, infected almost in the very last stage. When the virus broke out in Syrup Village, he was the first to be infected. At first, I tried to cure myself on my own, and Kaya helped, but it was all to no avail. When he practically died outside, he only sat and suffered, and in order to save him from his torment, Kaya killed him. Status, deceased by Kaya. Kaya. She is infected, but weaker than all the inhabitants of Syrup Village. Due to the fact that she has been at home throughout the epidemic, she became even more depressed, refused treatment, refused to eat, and when she killed Mary, she committed suicide. Usopp doesn't even know, and still writes letters to her. Status: dead by suicide. Now we get a video of the actual origin behind the virus, all in the perspective of Crocodile. This whole thing started when a traveler was stranded on an island and wandered around until he came across a strange new fruit that he decided to eat in order to survive, a fruit known as the Chuma Chuma fruit. As a result, he started developing tumors all over his body. It appears that the fruit has some kind of sentience and can spread through living beings, water, and air. This paved the way for the virus to reach other islands. The island where the fruit came from does seem hard to reach, as another ship that reached the island crashed, and another individual who landed there ended up dead.
And at the end of the day, no matter how much we try to go all the way down, we're all going to die. There is nothing from this epidemic, and no vaccine and isolation will help people.
When the story starts to wrap up, it's revealed that Crocodile has been infected. We then cut to Dr. Kureha, who's been trying their absolute hardest to find a cure. They have a black eye, so perhaps Crocodile used more than just his words. This whole time, Dr. Kureha was imprisoned on Alabasta, and Drum Island has been burned down. All Kureha can do is attempt to make a cure. The artist then shows off a couple more status reports in a following post. Arlong. He is infected like the rest of the fishmen. He doesn't care at all and lives as usual. He was the first to be infected and infected his guys. Became only stronger after the second stage of the plague, and much more aggressive. Kuro. Almost nothing is known about him, except that he was first to know about the sudden outbreak of the plague in Syrup Village, and left the place without warning anyone, not even his Black Cat team. His whereabouts are now unknown, but he is alive. Status: escaped from the village Syrup. Crocodile / Mr. Zero. He is infected with stage 4 of the virus, and although he feels bad, he tries to hold on to the end. Forgetting about the pain, Dr. Kureha was taken hostage, forcing her to make a plague vaccine exclusively for Crocodile and the surviving members of the Barrow Works. There would be enough for the Cross Guild in the future. He barely keeps himself under control, which is why he can break down at any time and kill anyone he comes across, and therefore, he sits in his office in isolation, periodically calling Kureha to find out how things are going with the vaccine. As for the Devil Fruit's abilities, he can still turn the body into sand, but not the first time. Sogeking. So cool that no virus touches it. It proves that it will save everyone from an epidemic in the future, but now he says that there is no such opportunity yet. Sometimes he falls into aggression, but justifies it by saying that he is just too nervous a person. Status: uninfected, and he's definitely not Captain Usopp. The author would decide to make a post with a dreamlike image of Usopp with Kaya, only for the next image to be him hugging a pillow in his sleep. Here's what the caption says: "Dear Kaya, I had a wonderful dream. You were in that dream, and I was so happy. In my dreams, you and I talked, hugged, and ran around the village of Syrup, caught butterflies, and looked at the stars at night. It's a pity that it was only a dream, but I'm sure when my adventure is over, I'll be back and we'll be together again, having fun and spending the whole day together. The main thing is to be patient. Oh, and yes, I've noticed that your letters aren't coming to me. Maybe those damn birds have lost a letter again. But come on, it's not your fault. I'm sure at least one letter will come to me. It's time for me to let go. I love you, Kaya. Love, Great Captain Usopp." We get another video titled "Something is Coming." The video begins with Buggy just walking forward, but then stopping as a look of shock appears on his face. We then see Shanks, to which Buggy tries to get his attention.
Hey, look at me, you redhead bastard!
Shanks stays quiet until he says the following words.
You can't escape. Darkness, it consumes us all. What?
So far, Shanks just has a cryptic dialogue with Buggy, hinting that he knows something sinister. Yet Shanks doesn't want to reveal what that is. Buggy suggests telling the government, to which Shanks replies with the fact that the government won't do anything.
You're really a fool. If they knew what was coming, they would probably try to hide it and deny it until the last possible moment. They don't want to scare people until it's too late to do anything.
When Buggy asks if there's anything they can do, Shanks simply goes on to pretty much say that there isn't anything they could really do. All this causes Buggy to crash out and punch Shanks. He then gives his own words to Shanks.
Fucking freak, stop it! It's all a lie! You're a fucking pirate. You can't know everything if you don't even know where this virus came from. What did you just say? Do you mean to say that what I say is a lie?
Shanks starts to argue back. He tries to threaten Buggy only for them to be interrupted by the Marines. We see the Marines in the distance, to which Buggy just jumps off the boat so that he could head towards them. The video ends with Shanks saying,
"Phew, coward clown."
Afterwards, we get a filler episode that revolves around Sanji. The song, Sanji the Great Blue, plays in the background. He acts all melancholic, looking back at the chopper skull and regretting what he did. He looks at a noose, and then we fade to him attempting to hang himself. As he's about to kick the stool, he's luckily saved by Zoro. We get some words exchanged between the two, with Zoro saying how Chopper wouldn't approve of his actions. Sanji starts crying and vents to Zoro about everything. Zoro tries to reaffirm to Sanji that what happened with Chopper wasn't his fault. As Zoro leaves the room, the video ends with a camera zooming out from Sanji with a sad look on his face. Progressing forward, we get a couple more status reports, starting with Shanks. He is not infected, but the plague has clouded his mind, causing the dreams, reference to HK, to take control of him. Because of them, he periodically says strange things like nonsense, which is why the team keeps trying to uncover the meaning of everything that has been said. Instead of Shanks, Yasopp, who is practically the most level-headed of all, was put to replace the captain. The team made him a working iron prosthetic left arm as a birthday present. Yasopp, the most level-headed member of Shanks' crew. He was appointed interim captain while Shanks was under the influence of the dreams. In addition to being a sniper, he became a pyro, burning infected zombies and roots with plague clots on islands. However, the rest of the team hasn't changed in any way, so there is no point in writing about them. Bentham, not infected. He became the chief agent of Barrack Works. He fulfills the basic requirements of the Crocodile, such as gathering the right items that can be used as an ingredient for the vaccine and plague cure, or exploring the islands that are least in danger so that they can soon move there for future plans. Soon he'll come to the Straw Hats for something. The next post gives us details on how the virus works. Stage 1. The body begins to grow small orange clumps of plague that appear on the body, mostly on the face and hands. The first signs of fatigue and weakness. A person may experience a slight headache or nausea. Stage 2. Dark roots resembling vines begin to grow through the bones, which come out through the skin. The infected person begins to feel more tired, and the first signs of mental trauma are noticeable. Stage 3. Orange clots increase in size, covering most of the body. The roots become larger and stronger, taking over a larger part of the body, bringing discomfort such as frequent tingling in the body. The infected person may produce a faint sweet smell, similar to the smell of citrus fruits. The psyche deteriorates further. The infected becomes aggressive and is affected by dreams for the first time. Stages 4 to 5. At this stage, the signs of mutation appear, deformation of the bones and body, sagging of the skin. In many cases, the infected can become animal-like or insect-like, as was the case with Usopp and Mary. The infected person can barely move, loses his eyesight, and the ability to control himself. This is rare. Stages 6 through 7. The infected person is completely devoid of human essence, turning into either a monster or part of the natural environment. A faint sweet smell becomes strong and bearable. As for the 7th stage, it can be endured by someone who has a strong will or special abilities. They can overcome a critical point and move into a new form. Why does the virus mutate differently and affect everyone differently? Mutations can be caused by a variety of factors, including genetic predisposition, environmental exposure, and the abilities of the infected. The virus can interact with individual characteristics of the body, causing different reactions and mutations, which explains why the virus affects everyone differently. Some can gain physical strength, hyper-regenerate abilities, and others can become subject to magic or even a new form of consciousness. The level of infection and progression of the stage may depend on the immune system of the person and their ability to resist the virus. Paramecia-type devil fruits. The virus can interact with their abilities, amplifying or altering their effects depending on the stage of infection. For example, an infected user of the Paramecia fruit, which is able to create and control abilities, may notice that their abilities become more destructive than usual. However, the virus can also exacerbate negative aspects of Paramecia's abilities, such as psychological stress or exhaustion, from prolonged use of the abilities. Logia-type devil fruits. People with Logia-type devil fruits controlling the natural elements can be infected with the virus, but their abilities remain intact if the user has fire-related abilities. Electricity too. As the virus has a weakness for fire and magma, the virus can also bring additional aspects. For example, an infected man with devil fruit smoke. He might find that his abilities become thicker and can deal more damage. Zoan-type devil fruits. People with Zoan-type devil fruits, which allow them to transform into animals or take on animal traits, can also be infected with the virus. The virus can affect their physical health and mental well-being. In the event of infection, users of Zoan-type devil fruits may notice that their abilities become less controllable or that their animal forms lose their strength and stamina. The virus can enhance their physical abilities, making them more animal, or change their behavior, such as making them more aggressive. In general, the impact of the virus on people with devil fruits will vary depending on the type of fruit, the individual characteristics of the infected person, and the stage of the development of the virus. In the case of devil fruit users who can control the virus or remove its effects, they can also avoid infection, but not always. The virus is resistant and will try to infect the user to the end, so having the ability to relieve diseases will not always help. You can only slow down the process. Our next video is titled, Is He Just Joking? And it opens up with Yasopp sitting down at a table. Shanks appears into the frame and is clearly not well. He tries to get Shanks' attention, and it becomes very clear that Yasopp is trying to interrogate Shanks regarding his dreams.
Okay, I'll ask a second time. What was it like when you muttered under your breath that something was coming?
Shanks gives his response, talking about these realistic dreams he's been experiencing.
Filled with ominous omens and dire warnings. In recent days, they have been getting worse. So much so that I'm beginning to wonder if they could be more than just dreams.
I'm listening.
It's hard to describe, but these dreams seem so real. It's as if they have a will of their own. It's like they're trying to warn me about something.
And what are you talking about? Is there any hint?
Was that ominous feeling of despair.
That's it. Enough of these games.
Mihawk decides to appear out of the blue, sporting a Plague Doctor mask. Now Mihawk also interrogates Shanks regarding these dreams, but Shanks stays cryptic about everything.
Feeling, but I see something, the gathering darkness, a deep emptiness on the horizon.
He suggests for Shanks to write out these dreams on a piece of paper. Anticipation builds up as they all stare and Shanks draws nervously. Once Shanks finishes, he hands the paper to Mihawk. We don't see the paper, but it's implied it's something big. They continue to discuss more.
I'm not crazy. It's not just rumors, it's real. The darkness is real, I can feel it.
Talk nonsense as much as you want. You'll still be a paranoid schizophrenic to me. Even a fool wouldn't believe it, let alone people. And if something happens, the world government will solve it like 2 fingers on the asphalt.
Mihawk doesn't really believe in the Chuma Chuma fruit, and if it is real, he believes it's not that big of a deal. Of course, to Shanks' dismay, he begins to argue, but he slowly starts to deteriorate mentally. The fear of the Chuma Chuma fruit starts to take over him. Mihawk believes him and tries to calm down Shanks. Knowing that Mihawk believes him, Shanks snaps back to his senses and starts to tell a really stupid story, ending the video.
Hold on. There's something else I have to tell you. Have I ever told you about a time when I was 15 years old and met this lovely old lady by the name of...
Come on, Shanks. To interrupt such a moment with a stupid story.
Oh, come on, You should have diluted this gloom somehow.
Staying on track, we continue to get a couple more statuses. Galdino, not infected, he is the second chief agent of Barrack Works, but unlike Bond Clay, he keeps an eye on Dr. Kureha to catch her trying to get out of her cage. He mostly reports to Crocodile on how things are going with her and her process of creating the cure and vaccine. Nico Robin, she is infected with stage 3 virus. However, with her devil fruit abilities, she has become stronger. On the contrary, the limbs that appear using the dragon fruit ability turn black, and the fingers are sharp, and their grid and strength are 2 times stronger, and they are able to kill a person with ease. With the Straw Hats, in addition to archaeology, she is engaged in the development of vaccines and cures together with Nami, having a total prescription from Dr. Kureha. In her spare time, she spends time with Usopp, taking care of him and trying to cure him, and although she can't fully cure him, she was able to stop the mutation and development of the virus in Usopp's and Zoro's body. Portgas D. Ace, not infected due to the devil fruit's abilities, it can burn the virus and prevent it from entering the body. He is used quite often as a pyro, mainly the Straw Hat Brigade and Buggy's team temporarily used his service. Truth be told, he already regrets his unique abilities, as he is terribly tired of providing such a service. Mihawk, not infected, he sailed the seas to learn more about the plague, to find a cure for it, and also try to find out if the island where the plague was awakened exists, or if it was just another theory from the world government, or even their weapon. He wears a plague doctor's mask, and luckily it helps not to catch the plague. Smoker, infected with stage 4, the ability to turn into smoke is extremely difficult, which is why in most cases it cannot return to human form first time. The smoke it turns into is infected, and can easily infect an enemy. For safety, he covers his right arm with an iron infection barrier, as he cannot return it to its previous state, still quietly working as a marine despite being infected. Tashigi, not infected, she tries her best to cure Smoker, takes care of him, and tries to convince him to stop working in the Marines, temporarily as to not kill himself completely, but Smoker assures her that everything will be fine, and that there is no need to worry so much about him. God Enel. Thanks to Lifeblood, he became stronger, more vulnerable, and faster. He has restricted all of Skypiea from using Lifeblood, or even hidden rumors about the existence of this life seed from some, and those who dare to find it are punished by El Thor. Lifeblood itself is embedded in his chest area, and Life Seed power runs throughout his body, providing Enel with more power. The description for this post says this: Tashigi's record. I don't know what to do. Smoker completely refuses help and attempts at treatment. When it first started, I tried to cure him from the beginning and get rid of those nasty orange bubbles, but he always pushed me away, saying there was no need for it. He's getting worse every day, and he's getting weaker every day. And after his encounter with Portgasti Ace, he lost his strength completely. I don't know what to do, but I'm going to look for a way to cure him, even if I have the virus. I don't care what he says. I don't care what he thinks of me. I don't care what he does to me. The following video is titled An Attempt to Heal His Commands, pre-Arabasta event. The video serves as a prequel, as it opens with a discussion between Zoro and Chopper, with them discussing whether or not Zoro can be cured.
If we keep up with the treatment, I think that you have a pretty high chance of being cured. But don't worry, you still have a chance to cure or weaken the mutation rate of the virus in your body.
Understood. What about Usopp? Given that his body has mutated and the lower part has become spider-shaped, what are we going to do with it?
That, I'm not entirely sure.
Zoro could likely be fixed up, but the problem arises with Usopp, who's mutated to a point where he probably can't be cured. Chopper's intrusive thoughts begin to flood in, with him pulling a knife and attempting to pop Zoro's eye, which does catch Zoro off guard. The scene builds up, only for Chopper to pop his eye, and the eye rebuilding instantly. After that, we cut to a scene with just Chopper walking out of the door until all of a sudden, Usopp appears from behind.
I'm doing a medical examination of the infected. Zoro has already passed the physical, and now it's your turn, so could you please let me...
It's revealed that Chopper is trying to do medical examinations on the infected, but Usopp just grabs Chopper. Usopp's hunger starts to take over and he tries to eat Chopper.
Yeah, let go of me!
You're a dumb little deer who clearly doesn't think with his brains. Hey! What the hell?
In response, Chopper transforms and resists Usopp before spraying him with water. The tone shifts to a more cheerful one, where Chopper then does his examination on Usopp. It appears that Usopp's stomach is ticklish. This serves as a quick gag, but it could serve as some kind of importance. The video ends with a conversation between Chopper and Nami, discussing the difficulty of dealing with the virus and what they can do now.
Shouldn't you do a physical exam on Usopp and Zoro? Yeah, you're right. I already did a physical exam on both Usopp and Zoro. Zoro is doing pretty well, but Usopp is in a bit more trouble. He's going to need some help. That is. Now there's not a single way to cure Usopp, and how to remove these yellow bubbles from them in general? Sadly, I haven't found any methods to cure or remove the yellow bubbles from either of them. It seems that this infection is very strong, and it's very difficult to cure. I'm still trying to think of ways to help, but right now, I'm at a loss for ideas. Okay. I hope nothing serious happens.
We continue on with more status reports. Sogeking Remaster. Definitely not infected. Sogeking is not affected by the virus, which is why it can easily overcome the dangers associated with the plague. Okay, jokes aside, Usopp managed to steal his other body part from the Going Merry's ship and somehow put it on it, albeit backwards. Don't even ask how. Although his sanity has increased over time, he cannot fully control himself and periodically falls off his feet and falls into aggression over any nonsense. Sanji and Frankie still don't understand how he attached the already lifeless half of his body to himself and can walk. Frankie, not infected. According to him, he said that he did not care about the virus and did not worry that he would get infected. But he still had to put on a gas mask after he learned that even metal rusts from the virus. Takes full responsibility for carpentry and protection from the plague and infected people. Foxy, infected with stage 3. Instead of healing, he uses the plague in his games, which makes his ordeal deadly for both players and his team, and has no regrets, even if he has infected all the people on the team. However, on the other hand, it is more difficult for him to live while infected because the plague has already begun to infect his internal organs, especially the lungs, which makes it more difficult for him to breathe. His ability, Noro Noro, is difficult to use, which is why he will not be able to cheat in games, as well as defend himself. Kaku, infected with stage 4, almost the same symptoms as Usopp, but unlike him, his sanity is normal, even if it doesn't look like everything is fine with him. There is severe pain in the neck and back, as well as slight dizziness, especially during sudden movements or in battles. He tries to heal himself. Sometimes, the Khalifa helps with this. The next post is titled Usopp's Record. We see an image of Usopp at an empty wasteland, with the next having Soka King staring at him from afar. The description reads as follows: I can't do this anymore. He haunts me over and over again. He's trying to tell me something, but what exactly? That voice. He literally tears me apart from the inside, screaming horrible things. The death of friends, darkness around the world, the awakening of the virus, the death of Kaya. It's all a joke, isn't it? It hurts. I can't stand this voice and silhouette that haunts me anymore. Why? Why does he do this? We get a few more status reports. In hybrid form, Kaku is much worse. The organs inside are infected, and when transformed, his neck is corroded by the plague, and for this reason, he is always silent in this form. There are problems with the ability to breathe, but the ability to attack is still there. According to Jabra, this is his most terrible form, after Lucci, which he has seen in his life. Spandam. Infected with the 5th stage, which is almost fatal for an ordinary person. He does not think normally, and therefore has turned into almost a rabid, contagious monster. Lucci took over the leadership of CP9, as he realizes that Spandam is unable to give orders in this state, which caused Spandam to resent Lucci and the other CP9 members not listening to him. Miraculously, he is still alive, but at the moment, after the events of Enies Lobby, he is sitting in a special room of the Marines, where they experiment on the infected, or try to cure him. Rob Lucci. Infected with stage 5 outwardly, it does not look like it is infected at all, but most of the traces of the infection are visible on the body, which is easy to hide under clothing. Let all the roots and clots on the body bring him discomfort. He does not care about any symptoms. The main thing is that the mind is normal. At the moment, he is in charge of CP9. Rob Lucci. Clothes off. Rob Lucci. Leopard form. In his hybrid form, he looks even worse, as does Kaku in his giraffe form. The plague also corroded Lucci's abdomen, back, and chest, to the point that bones and infected organs were visible. According to Jabra again, this is a terrible form of Lucci, although to be honest, even Lucci himself agrees with this. But he is not able to express emotions and describe his horror. The ability to attack is not decreased, and the organs are protected by clots inside the body. At least some benefit from them. Lamau. The post that had these statuses said this in the description: Spamdam's record in one of the experiments. Number 6. These stupid bastards don't understand what they're losing by keeping me here. They can't just leave me here like a fucking dog. With the virus. I can just let God restore justice, and then all these creatures will understand who the real hero is here. With this darkness and plague, I'll be an invincible man. I need some time. Stop. Who was I talking to here? Wait, what was I talking about? And where am I? Meh. Okay, it's quite cold here. And stop. Remembered, I needed to catch that damn whore, Nico Robin. She is the one who learns this justice for me, as well as her crewmates. Oh fuck. They sailed away a long time ago. Lost in front of them. Then what was I discussing about? Our next video is titled Smoker vs Portgas, the Ace. It opens up with him at Luketown, where Luffy starts to run away and the Straw Hats try to encourage him to escape whatever is going on. Ace appears in the scene and explosions can be heard. Boogie tries to get Ace to run away since the place is blowing up. We then see Smoker, followed up by Ace standing toe-to-toe with him. After an exchange of words, the two begin to throw hands. Smoker then pins down Ace, but Ace is able to retaliate because his smoke is flammable. Smoker gets set on fire, to which Ace punches him right in the stomach. The flames are extinguished, and Smoker coughs up blood before passing out. At the climax of the scene, Ace has one last thing to say to the knocked out Smoker. Tashigi runs to the scene and immediately carries Smoker, wishing that his comrade doesn't die. The video ends with Luffy looking over the distance. The whole segment was made to eliminate Smoker, but to also give Ace an appearance, since he won't have a massive role in the story later on. we get a couple more statuses. Khalifa, infected with stage 3. In general, like Lucci, she does not particularly experience much discomfort, but she has a strong complex due to the citrus smell from herself, coming from the clots. Of the changes, her ability to create soap bubbles has changed to creating infected soap bubbles that can infect weak people with poor immunity. Also, horns like a sheep appeared on her head, which greatly interfere with her personal life. She temporarily looks after Kaku, supporting him so that he does not go completely insane. Jabra, infected with stage 4. He is almost the only one on the team who tries to somehow cure himself and the rest of CP9, as he does not want to sit in the local medical department of the Marines, where Spandam was taken, calling this place hellish asylum for the infected. Many of CP9 members tell him to stop, as his attempts to help are completely futile. Jabra wolf form. In this form, Jabra's eyes are completely covered by clots of plague, making him unable to see anything. In battles, he will have to attack blindly, using his sense of smell to navigate, which is the only plus. Kaku even laughed at him a couple times that he was so helpless in this form, but Jabra denies it and is only looking for the positives. Blueno, infected with stage 4. Half of his face is covered in orange balls, and there is a large claw of plague on his back, which causes him severe pain, as well as sucking energy from Blueno. The plague didn't affect the Devil Fruit's abilities in any way. Kumadori. The stage of infection is unknown. This is the first time an infection has passed through a person's hair rather than on the body or the organs. His ability turned on him, causing him to be trapped in his powers, unable to free himself or control his ability to control life. The rest of CP9 was already trying to do everything to free him, trying to detangle his hair, cut it open, but nothing helped. The hair itself turned orange due to the virus. Fukuro, infected with stage 3. His mouth is completely covered with bubbles, making him unable to speak. On the one hand, it is very bad for him, and on the other hand, he will no longer spill the beans to anyone and will not infuriate people and let CP9 down. Rook is not infected with the plague because he is a skeleton and has no living tissue to infect him. However, clumps of plague still appeared on his skull because the plague tries to take over any available spaces to spread. Rook's mind is affected by dreams, and they affect his soul rather than his physical body. Dreams affect his consciousness, causing mild hallucinations, like Shanks, but 5 times less. Despite the fact that his body remains uninfected, he does not believe in the theory of appearance of a devil fruit that destroyed the entire world with an epidemic, and believes that the plague appeared much earlier, when he was alive while traveling with the crew of the Roomba pirates. There is a theory that Yorkie died precisely because of the plague, but Brook cannot prove this. Gecko Moria, being a former Shichibukai, actively uses the plague epidemic for his own purposes, aiming to seize power and create an army of infected zombies. Despite his own infection, he retains enough sanity to devise plans and manipulate other infected individuals, turning them into his puppets. Perona. Infected at stage 3, she became infected despite her ability to turn into a ghost, contracting the plague due to Gecko Moria when he infected the other zombies. Now she uses her powers to fight the plague epidemic. Despite being infected, her will to resist and strong sanity allow her to stay in control of her mind. She uses her ghosts for reconnaissance and combat against the infected, striving to find a way to cure herself and help others. During the Thriller Bark arc, she is fully on the side of the Straw Hats and will assist them. Porch, infected with stage 6. She is on the verge of death. For all the damn games, Foxy has become almost a dead organism. She breathes poorly, thinks poorly, moves poorly. Nothing will help her. She tries to say something, but only makes hoarse, unrelated sounds. Foxy does nothing to cure her, but deep down he feels sorry for her. After the events of Long Ring Island Longland, she was taken away by the Marines. The status cards of the Straw Hats also get remastered. Monkey D. Luffy, not infected. After Chopper's death, he takes the epidemic and food rationing more seriously, and Sanji has repeatedly threatened that he will be next if he dares to deplete the provisions again. Besides the goal of finding One Piece, he wants to rid the world of the virus and save the infected. Roronoa, Zoro, was infected in the village of Syrup due to the team of the Black Cat. Due to the infection, the guy's vision deteriorated a little, and he himself became a little weaker, and therefore began to train harder. Sometimes Frankie helps him with this. In his spare time, he sits alone with Sanji, because the team told him to look after the cook's mental health, even if he doesn't want to do it. Nami, not infected. She stole a suit in Luketown and also grabbed a few respirators for the crew. She and Robin take on the role of the ship's doctor, working on creating a vaccine and medicine. In her free time, she spends time alone with Usopp, helping him stay sane by talking to him, reading Kaya's letters with him, and sometimes even playing board games. She avoids Sanji because she fears him after the dinner incident. Usopp, infected with stage 4. He was infected before the Straw Hats took him, and he mutated while on their ship. His lower body was torn apart and discarded in Usopp's room, and his body took a spider-like form, resembling a dog. Currently, the Straw Hats are trying to stabilize his sanity, and for the safety of the crew, they lock him in a cabin if necessary. He occasionally writes letters to Kaya telling her everything that's happening, but unfortunately, he doesn't receive any replies. Sometimes he likes to sit in the kitchen with Sanji, watching him cook and occasionally helping him. Vin smokes Sanji. He is not infected, but compared to the others, his mental state is terrible. After the dinner incident, he began blaming himself for the death of a crewmate, becoming more nervous and aggressive towards everyone. Sometimes he cooks with Nami or Usopp, and occasionally when he's in a good mood, he can join a conversation. He periodically threatens Luffy not to deplete the provisions again, and surprisingly, it works. Because of him, the crew has become distrustful of each other, or often quarrels, but with Robin's arrival, things have more or less settled down. We then move forward to Do Us a Favor. The video starts off by showing off Bon Clay, with Nami beginning to tell them about everything that happened in regards to Chopper's death and Sanji's state. Nami then asks Bon Clay to stay on their ship and disguise themselves as Chopper, so that Sanji can get back to normal. Of course, this infuriates Bon Clay, and they begin to scold Nami before they switch moods and agree to help. Once they hop on the ship, Nami tries to get Bon to perfect the Chopper disguise by mimicking his personality and learn about medicine in 2 weeks. We get a couple other segments of the Straw Hats talking to Bon, perhaps teaching them about Chopper's mannerisms. We fast forward to 2 weeks to where we see them at Skypiea, which should be a safe haven for this overall infection. Nami tells the crew a story. However, the main focus is on Sanji, who looks into the distance and sees Chopper's silhouette. He begins to run towards the Chopper ghost. Various glitched images of the dinner incident flash during his run.
Chopper? Is that really you?
Chef, it's been a long time, Sanji. Wow, I forgot that those who died in the Blue Sea are reborn in Skypiea. It's unbelievable.
Sanji is relieved to see his best friend and tears up, hugging the disguised Bon. This event leads to Bon Clay giving their own monologue about how much it hurts to lie to Sanji, but it helps the crew.
That day, it was hard to see Sanji so broken, hugging him, feeling his sobs, seeing how ashamed and bad he was because of that incident. It broke my heart and conscience. I never thought pretending to be Chopper would be so hard. I can't get Sanji's broken state out of my mind. Seeing him like that, knowing that I was lying to him, it's terrible. But this is what everyone wants. That's what I have to do. For their sake, I will continue to act. For his friends. For Sanji. Sooner or later, I'm sure, he'll find out the whole truth. And I don't know what will happen to me.
The next post regarding character statuses is titled MD Garp Recording Number 1. Kokoro, infected with stage 2. She was also affected by the plague epidemic. Despite the initial stage of infection, she retains her sanity and tries to help others. Kokoro looks tired. Orange spots have appeared on her skin, especially noticeable on her hands and face. Her hair became duller, and her eyes took on a tired look. Chimney helps her heal, and always takes care of her, even if she can hardly do it. Polly, infected with grade 3, the first of the people who have formed spore fungi during infection, because this is usually characteristic of fishmen or mermaids. No, this is not a hint that he is a fish. Due to the fact that it emits poisonous mushroom gas, it either covers infected areas with a cloth or works separately from everyone else. Experiences severe discomfort due to pain in the right shoulder and left side of the face. Iceberg, infected with stage 1. Although he is ill, this does not prevent him from continuing to lead Galila. He is looking for similar medicines for the plague for the people living in Water 7. Monkey D. Garp, not infected, created a special purification squad, SPS. It is a specialized group of the Marines created to combat the spread of the plague, research the infected, and possibly treat or exterminate them. Garp is leading this initiative to protect the world order from a devastating epidemic, in the event that they manage to cure pirates or other people. They are either for re-education, which in the future they will be appointed members of the Marines, or put in an impel down. The only ones who support or have supported SHD are Sengoku and Aokoji. The world government is silent so far. You also get statuses of the admirals. Akainu Sakazuki, not infected due to devil fruit. Admiral Akainu leads the Marines' secret program, Special Infected Squad, SIS, where they capture pirates and infect them with the plague for use as living weapons. Together with his task force at Admiral Borsellino Kizaru, he hunts pirates around the world, taking them to secret laboratories of the Marines, where they are infected. The Admiral's goal is to weaken the pirates and undermine all attempts to cure the plague, including the destruction of the Special Purification Squad, SPS, led by Garp. How amazing. The world government turned a blind eye to this, perhaps arguing with Akainu is useless in their opinion. Lamau, Borsalino, Kizaru. He is not infected, but has the power of a lifeblood, which has increased his health, strength, and stamina. He works with Akainu on the special infection squad, helping him with everything. Even if he is engaged in an illegal business, it does not bring him any pleasure and benefit from it, but he simply could not refuse his old friend, who received the lifeblood thanks to Garp. On Akainu's orders when he became infected, as Sakazuki did not want to harm and torment Borsalino. At the moment, he is looking for Aokoji, who disappeared during the appearance of Sakazuki's special infection squad, Aokoji Kuzan. The state is doomed to death if its strongest and greediest people have the greatest influence in society. The second to last video I'll talk about is titled Doflamingo.avi. It begins with Bellamy being surrounded by corpses of various pirates. The camera zooms in, having an emphasis on his blank stare before the scene changes to a distant view of Doflamingo. We see the frame switch between shots of Bellamy and Doflamingo, where words of dialogue appear on the shots of Doflamingo. Don't try to do anything. It's over. When it goes to Doflamingo again, the video glitches out, and he becomes covered in warts. Then the video ends. Our final video is titled Arrival at the Sky Island, which has the length and format of a typical One Piece episode. Before the episode starts, the opening plays. Everything seems normal on the Straw Hat side of things. There's a particular view of Chopper's skull next to this photo. There's a few scenes like Luffy running, the crew falling, Zoro bleeding and holding his eye, various infected characters, Nami being choked by Sanji, a few more character segments, and a scene with Usopp's hand being covered in bandages. And then there are more shots. Typical anime opening stuff. The episode begins with Luffy asking Konis for a view of Skypiea. It also seems that Nami has removed her suit. Konis is willing to take the crew to the island, but they have to avoid the sacred yard at all costs because of how dangerous Enel is. After some dialogue between Luffy and Pagaya, Sanji is still unaware that Chopper is actually Bon Clay, starts asking questions about Chopper's memory, to which Bon Clay responds by saying it's like they forgot everything. Sanji then decides to ask Konis about people coming back to life. Konis responds with the fact that it's quite rare for something like that to happen. In her own words,
"There used to be many, but now it's extremely rare to meet someone who came back to life in Skypiea. Not everyone usually ends up here, only the chosen ones."
In what sense?
The chosen ones are those who have no sins.
Ah, I see. So, you're sinless?
Yeah.
Of course, Bon Clay starts to feel nervous about that fact. The White Beret appears and try to arrest the team, until the Berets see Usopp's infected form.
You face a fine of 70,000 extols.
That old lady let us in for free. And what currency is that? How much is it in belly?
You must be mistaken, sir.
We're not mistaken. You came from the Blue Sea and illegally invaded the Heavenly Island. We have to...
What's going on, guys?
Ah, monster!
No, what?
Looks like you scared them. I wonder what they're so afraid of, and you?
Really? What the fuck are they scared of? Let's think. Maybe because Usopp is spider-like?
Isn't there a single infected person on this island who at least looks like me?
How should I put it?
It was during these lines of dialogue where Pagaya informs the Straw Hats that nobody on Skypiea knows about the virus, and that the virus couldn't possibly reach the island. Zoro then gets reminded of Lifeblood, something Robin told him about. Pagaya then informs the crew about it, but Konis warns them of the dangers of discovering this substance.
It's a life cocoon with a blue liquid fruit. They say that if you drink it, you can heal from all diseases, and also become stronger, meaning it provides resilience. It grows in the Forbidden Forest, and is forbidden for everyone, except for the god, Enel.
And what will happen if we find it?
You will face divine judgment if you try to find it or even think about how to find it. Enel hears everything. Even now, I'm sure he's watching us.
What? Where is he?
Calm fucking down! Usopp!
Usopp starts freaking out, and right after that, the crew begins to wonder where Robin went. Luffy tells the crew that Robin decided to explore the area, to which then Conus instantly gets worried that she reached the upper yard and could be face to face with the elder priests. Robin returns and tries to get them to leave the island because someone on the island was struck by lightning, and that the lightning could have been caused by an elder figure. The problem is, as Usopp says, they never figured out a way down, so now they're left with two dangerous paths.
Well, the only option is to swim east to the edge of the clouds, but the path isn't very safe and I doubt you'll make it there.
To Nami's dismay, Luffy starts to go on the island to look for food. From a distance, McKinley spies on the crew and instantly grows suspicious of them.
Those monsters. Do they intend to harm this island? I heard that complete chaos started in the Blue Sea, caused by some virus, but I didn't think it would reach us. If those idiots stay here, I'm sure they'll ruin all the inhabitants. For that, they will be sent to the forbidden sacred land, the upper yard.
Pagaya starts to ask Usopp about being contagious, to which Usopp responds with the fact that it isn't that big of a deal. He then starts to ask about the bandage on his arm. Usopp's emotion changes and then we get a view of Sanji's menacing stare, while Usopp panics. We then get a flashback of Sanji torturing Usopp. Usopp just responds with the fact that it isn't that big of a deal, which then, Pagaya begins to ask about the whole lie regarding Bon Clay. Usopp responds with this.
I don't know, it'll be worse if he doesn't calm down. And Robin already noticed some signs that he's under the influence of the dreams. And so she often gives him something. He calms down and behaves normally.
Luffy begins to point out that the ship is leaving, to where a giant shrimp is taking them away. Pagaya mentions that the shrimp is trying to take Robin, Nami, Chopper, and Zoro to become sacrifices. They begin to plan out a way to get them back to the upper yard. The Straw Hats don't really believe that the priests are that big of a deal. Conus decides to guide them through the city, to where they start getting weird stares. Sanji comes across a girl crying and learns that she's crying because a restaurant is in danger, as the waiter quit. Sanji decides to work as a cook to help them out. At the restaurant, he's forced to serve food and roller skates. He comes across a customer that immediately begins flirting with Sanji. We then get a fun segment of Sanji singing 24 Hour Cinderella. Mid-segment, McKinley arrives, which shocks the other restaurant worker. Sanji has a romantic segment with the customer who flirted with him. Usopp and Luffy arrive at the scene. The restaurant worker points a gun at him. Once he's done singing, the worker fires a shot through Sanji's ear. After the screen fades, Sanji's ear gets wrapped up, and the crew are able to get on their new ship, Kasaru Maru. Conus points to the island of the god, where Luffy then starts asking why she's trembling. It is here that we learn that Conus called the super fast shrimp and is trying to protect the island from Luffy. Lightning strikes down on them and everything turns black and white. Gonfall appears and decides to take Conus away.
Who is that guy?
I'm a knight of the sky. I'll take care of the girl. Since you now know about our island and the god's power, you must decide for yourselves what to do.
Frankly, we don't care about your island's problems. What's important is that our friends are on the god's island.
I see. Then good luck.
The screen fades into the upper level, where Gadatsu warns Enel about the Straw Hats and the dangers they carry. Enel becomes fascinated with the idea of a mutated Usopp, and ends with these final words before the ending plays.
Gold, you say? How amusing. But I am more interested in this mutant. Let's see just how strong they really are. Order the priests to prepare the Ultima Trials. Test them to their limits. I want to see their true power.
Now the ending itself has a very heavy focus on Robin, but the lyrics, I want to survive, and the whole vibe of the ending just carry a very eerie feel. The song wraps up, putting an end to the story for now. Overall, an amazing Infection AU. Everything feels in-universe, both world-building wise and comedy wise. The characters don't feel far off from their canon counterparts, and they also feel so human. They have such a natural response to this whole epidemic, with some making it not as a big deal, others living in complete fear and isolation, and people even using the virus for their own selfish gain. The art style manages to pay homage to the actual One Piece art style, while also reflecting that it's a horror AU. Speaking of, horror isn't the core element of this whole AU, but it's still a massive part of this whole series. The Chuma Chuma fruit in the whole epidemic feels so unnerving and Lovecraftian. We know that various characters, despite their power levels, can get infected and transform into the monsters we see them become. However, not everything is entirely hopeless, as some people are immune, are keeping their sanity, and are making an effort to find a cure. As we know, One Piece is ridiculously long, and that's because of its overarching world. So in terms of this AU, there's so much potential as to where it could go. This AU serves as more than just a what-if scenario, but it's also one big love letter to One Piece. It's not often you see Infection AUs be so detailed, while also being so well written. Yeah, this Infection AU is brilliant in every way. Take care of yourselves, and of course, as usual, please have yourselves a damn good one.